Holy playing card puns, Batman. Tiki here.
And Bluedragonfive.
And I am watching. I'm terribly sorry I butchered that. Okay, Tiki here, and I have been watching through each and every episode of Batman Beyond for the first time. Dragon, tell him why we're here. Terribly sorry, Dragon.
Well, you see, folks, long ago I made a vow to educate Tiki in the ways of Batman the Animated Series, serving as his spirit guide to Gotham in a way, but that was the past, and we must now enter the Batman's future.
That's right. And tonight we are talking about season 3, episode 1. We're kicking off the final season with King's Ransom. Dragon, this episode, it's not the worst episode, but it might be the most boring, man. I'm really not vibing with this one at all. You know me, I've been kind of struggling with the Royal Flush Gang from the get-go. I think they're definitely towards the lower tier when it comes to Batman Beyond villains. And I don't know, this episode's just kind of no different. I just don't really get a lot out of these guys. I think this episode very much suffers from the Act 3 fight syndrome, where there's just not a lot of interesting things going on. It's just kind of like one big fight scene. I don't know. Not terrible, but the dreaded M word, Dragon. This episode is very mid for me. It is very much just a big old sack of like, it was okay. It was alright.
All right. All right, let me provide you with a little context here.
Okay, also, of course, big thanks to the patience of Kogios, who's been waiting for us to sort through our technical difficulties. He says he blames Terry. He probably damaged the mic with a batarang. Gosh darn it, Terry. You're probably right, Kogios. Anyways, go ahead, Dragon.
All right, so the director on this was Butch Lukic, who did episodes such as April Moon, Spellbound, and Heroes.
You see, all those are like relatively good episodes. This is definitely the weakest of that bunch.
And there's kind of a reason for that.
Okay.
The writer on this was Rich Fogel. Now, I want to be clear, nothing against Rich Fogel, ordinarily a good writer, but his Batman Beyond stuff is, well, let's just say it's far from top tier. The best thing, basically the two best things he really has going for him as far as Batman Beyond goes, you have Heroes, which again, it's an okay episode, and Rats.
Oh.
Of course,
yeah, I enjoyed Rats, but by all means, it's not like a top tier one at all.
That's my point. Now, the worst episode that he did, Centuries of the Cosmos.
Oh boy! Oh yeah, that's a stinker, man. That's a stinky one.
Centuries of the Last Cosmos.
Oh man.
Okay, Tiki, the studio that worked on this episode. Take a guess.
I'm gonna guess Aardman Animation.
No.
All right. Sorry.
All right, Tiki. It was because I know you missed them. It was Coco. A little bit of Dong Yang. Little hint of Dong Yang in there.
I do miss my Dong Yang hits.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah. Again, it's not the movie. The movie gave us TMS. We're not going to get that again.
Just straight up.
Yeah. Okay, so long story short, after way back after season 1 of Batman Beyond, I kind of mentioned this when we were talking Return of the Joker, but way back after the first season, it was so well received, they got the full pickup essentially for the rest of the series, which essentially what that means is they've been contracted for a number of episodes that would be syndicated, which in this case in total is 52 episodes. It's 13, 26, and another 13, which is what we're in now. At least that's how they broke it up. So essentially it's like, hey, we're going to give you the remaining episodes after 13 episodes, and that'll be our commitment, which essentially got broken up into 2 seasons. Like, in theory, they could have done a really, really long second season, but, it's like they have a number of episodes way more than 13, so why not?
I mean, it might work out. We'll see how like so far this isn't a great start to the season, but we'll see if it gets a little bit more character focused. Because I do think that season 2 was really good for kind of like expanding the cast out, expanding some of the world building. So we'll see how it goes.
I mean, it is interesting though that traditionally the syndication number is 65, which you'll notice would be 13 more than what we ended up with Batman Beyond, which I think has long led to speculation that. Now, I'm not saying this was actually planned per se, but it was like the hope of like, maybe we could have come back for another 13s. There's always been like that hope of like, maybe they could have done one more season.
Uh huh.
Which never came to pass, sadly, and definitely never will. But anyway, so there's a lot of with the Batman Beyond villains. There's very much kind of a rule of three. With a lot of the Batman Beyond foes, kind of had at least at a minimum 3 appearances, at least the recurring ones, and that includes the Royal Flush Gang. It's kind of a 3-act structure, in which case these guys appeared once per season. So this is the last time you're going to see him, Tiki. At least this specific iteration of the Royal Flush Gang. Last time you're gonna see him in Batman Beyond.
Uh huh.
Yeah. Big thing with the Royal Flush Gang is the return of two familiar voices playing King and Queen for the Royal Flush Gang. George Lazenby. We know George Lazenby.
Of course, of course.
Not personally, but we've seen a documentary on him. We like George Lazenby.
Yeah, and I will say he is definitely the best part of the episode. He does have some swagger to him for sure. Oh boy. Okay, Kogias, can you hear me if you're in the comments? Can you hear me? Can you just want to see if maybe I can kind of start the episode recap and see if Dragon get get his yeah.
Hello, Tiki there?
Yeah, you can hear me?
Well, now I can hear it. Yeah, I think we cut out for a second.
Okay, yeah, you did cut out for a second. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Anyway,
go ahead.
Okay, real quick. So the Queen is played by Sarah Douglas, from Superman, from the Donner Superman films.
Who did she play in the Dawn of Superman films? I'm sorry.
Ursa, like one of the 3 Kryptonians. She's the
Oh
Lady
yeah, okay,
Kryptonian.
okay, gotcha.
I will say this: there's actually a different pitch for the Royal Flush Gang. That good old Glenn Murakami. Essentially, the way it worked is Glenn Murakami was the new producer on Batman Beyond, which I've mentioned. He was very much the other guy in the room. And many times Glenn Murakami would shoot that would throw out these really cool pitches, and always they would be shot down. And one of these pitches, his pitch for the Royal Flush Gang for like the third, like what a sequel iteration from the first episode of Royal Flush Gang, presumably this third one would have been, was Melanie Walker, 10. She it would have been a big reveal that she's actually started her own Royal Flush Gang, and she's Queen, and she's bumped herself up to Queen instead of 10.
Uh huh.
Which sounds like possibly a far more interesting direction the episode could have taken than it ultimately resulted in.
I mean, here's my thing about this episode is like, I see the potential of the Royal Flush Gang. Like, I see Kogias in the comments. He's kind of defending it. And, it's like, that's totally cool, Kogias. All film is subjective and whatnot. You know how I feel about that. So, I think it's totally fine that you like this episode as much as you do. For me, I think my big issue with this episode, Dragon, and I'm pretty sure you're going to feel the same way I do when I bring it up, is essentially this episode just kind of boils down to just like boring domestic marital issues between the king and the queen.
Well, I look at it more as it's the Royal Flush Gang folding. It's them on their heels. So I kind of look at it less like the marriage is kind of central in the whole royal
Well, I'm just
family
saying, like,
thing.
it's central just as far as like they really hammer in the whole like my father wouldn't have done that.
Yeah. I mean, the cool thing about the whole father thing is they never explicitly spell it out, but the implication is that the headcanon, the implications have always been really cool. It's the idea that King presumably was the outsider who married into the family, and he either framed or bumped off the father-in-law.
Uh-huh.
That, to me, is really interesting. Sadly, we talk that up. We don't do anything with that here. That's always the shame.
yeah, for sure.
But yeah. Anyway, so let's dive into it.
Okay, so we start with what else? An action sequence, a heist. We got an art museum, I believe, right? Or a history museum, one of the two. Kind
I'll
of
just
maybe a combination of the two.
yeah, I think we can just say it's a museum, Tiki. But yeah,
It
it's the Royal.
belongs in a museum. All
So
right.
the Royal Flush Gang, they heist the Jaguar of Fedazar.
Yes.
Fedazir. Anyway, so the point, the family have been. This is interesting. We've seen the progression of the Royal Flush Gang, or in terms of them going on the downswing here, where losing losing the daughter, walking away from the family. Family is struggling since she went straight and she just kind of broke away from the family. And King is not happy about this, and he's just this is the worst we've ever seen the Royal Flush. I don't mean worse in terms of like quality. I mean worse in terms of these guys are very much like they're not the well-oiled machine they were back in the first
I
appearance.
mean, I would say it's definitely the worst that we've seen as far as quality goes, just because it's like they are pretty much just down to the bare bones of what they used to be. It's basically like we're gonna see as the episode progresses, especially with what happens to Jack in this opening sequence. They're down to the just the framework, just the skeleton of what they used to be.
Yeah. So like there's this bit where he's like, Jack mentions 10. He's like, "He never mention her name again." Of course, and slapping him, basically Gibbs slapping him to put in NCIS terms. In Gibbs slapping him, he ends up screwing up like breaking into the security system. Ends up like cutting the wrong wire, and the alarm goes off. And Batman enters, getting a little fighty fight going on here. He's battling Ace, not the dog, the giant the giant playing card monster.
I do like that we have an ace in the hole pun. That's one of the few puns in this episode that I actually appreciated.
An episode late, but it works.
Oh
Anyway, so ends up damaging Ace's hand, and he short circuits. By the way, this has always been kind of again retroactively. We know this. You probably always kind of surmise it, but here we definitely confirm Ace is a robot.
my god!
Yeah.
What a twist!
All right, so in the scuffle, the art, this bit I do really love in the direction here because you never think about this sort of thing. So it's a great mundane detail that comes back to bite him in the end. During the heist, the artifact gets chipped, like the ear chips off.
Uh-huh.
That's like a collector thing of like it's like the worst thing could ever happen. Like, oh no, it's been
Dragon,
damaged.
this honestly feels like, dare I say it, a Curb Your Enthusiasm bit.
You just have Curb on the brain.
No, you're right. I do. You're not wrong about that. But I don't know. I could picture it like, I know you risked it, but you did break it. You went from priceless to there's very much a price on this now, and it's not priceless, my friend.
Anyway, so they hightail it out of there. Batman gives chase, ends up nabbing nabbing Jack, and the Royal Flush Gang they leave him behind.
Yes.
So the GCPD they are interrogating Jack. So by the way, two things to note with this episode. One, this is again in the show. This is when we recast Becker. We did it with the movie. I think we did the movie first. If you want to be all technical about it, we're basically in the making of the movie. That's when we officially recast back Stockard Channing as Barbara Gordon to now Angie Harmon, who is also a real. I don't know which one I like better. I've kind of leaned towards Angie Harmon mainly because of the
I
movie,
do too. I like both of them, but I really like what they've been doing with her so far. Just characterization wise,
it's so weird. They both believably sound like an aged Tara Strong to me, and I just like that,
Yeah.
Especially Angie Harmon. Angie Harmon just sounds like kind of the lighthearted, Barbara Gordon that we saw in the new Batman Adventures, but like with a rasp to her, like an aged rasp.
Sure.
Anyway, so she's interrogating Jack, trying to find out. She knows the Royal Flush Gang were hired to do this. She's trying to figure out who orchestrated this. Batman's on the outside using his awesome little fingertip listening device on the bat suit to listen in, and he is. And because pre-Columbian artifacts aren't the Royal Flush Gang's Louis XIV style. So clearly they're working for someone, and Bruce Wayne has a good idea who they're working for.
Maxwell Powers.
That's a joke, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that is a joke. I'm sorry.
All right.
Anyways, who is he really working for, Dragon?
Tiki, I want you to tell me what's the first name of this Powers offspring.
I thought it was Max.
No, oh, that's what I was afraid of. You were gonna say no. It's not Max. No,
Okay, I'm sorry.
Paxton Powers.
Paxton.
Yeah, I thought you were doing a bit, but you actually forgot. That's all.
I actually forgot, and you caught me in the lie, and I'm terrible.
Yeah. You didn't know you could have just asked. You had to make it up.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Paxton Powers has returned. Now we've had Pax in the background a couple times. Last time we really saw him was the sneak peek episode.
Well, I feel like they did a good job, kind of like, just sprinkling him in just to establish that he exists in season 2. And what I'm liking about this so far, Dragon, is that you remember when they killed off his father at the end of season 1. I was a little let down because I thought, like, wow, it kind of feels like we're getting to the big dramatic high point of, his father almost discovering Terry's identity. And but now I'm kind of excited because it feels like we're sort of rebooting this sort of rivalry between the McGinnis and the Powers clan. So we'll see. Granted, I don't have like super high expectations about this season being like super serialized or anything like that, but I do think it would be cool if Powers did play a significant role in the season to kind of bookend it with season 1. We'll see.
Well,
that's a no, Johnny.
Yeah, I mean, Tiki, you kind of see it here. I mean, I kind of told you during Return of the Joker, this episode is like he gets, he gets foiled at the end. He that's how Bruce Wayne gets his company.
So this is basically a write-off, and the rest of the season you're just going to be like, we'll see what happens. 12 more episodes.
But
there I went thinking that there'd be some thematic consistency, some thematic bookends, Dragon. That's all I want is the thematic bookends, and I guess I don't get them.
No, well, you're not going to get it in the core show. Again, we're going to get in some supplemental stuff, but not the core show. And there's a reason for that, and we'll get there.
Fair enough.
Point being, though, like I said, interestingly, in the show here, again, chronologically, this episode happens, and then Batman Beyond: Return of the Joker. So this is the idea. This is exactly how Bruce Wayne gets his company back, because the guy who was in charge of it goes down for something bad.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Now you're clued in. So, so we reveal that King is meeting with Paxton Powers and his bodyguard, Miss Thorpe.
Yes.
All right. Anyway, he exchanges the Jaguar, but it is chipped, and he refuses delivery for damaged goods. King's very upset by this. He lost his son's rotting in jail over this thing. He threatens Powers. Bad idea. Thorpe's like,
but I will say that Powers throwing out like just the petty change and King actually taking it, that's a power move on Powers' part, man.
Well, it lives up to his namesake.
Well, yeah, of course, pun not intended, but you're right.
No, but you're right. That thing, I do that bit with the creds though. I've always, that was all. I gotta be honest, that is actually my favorite thing Paxton Powers ever did. It was just this really petty move, but it's like it is a power move.
It's like, you know what? I'll give you something for your troubles.
Yeah. God, and just you feel sympathy for King, don't you? Like,
no, you know what? You do. I do think they lay it on a little thick with the whole like, you're a piece of shit. You don't live up to my father at all. But no, I mean, genuinely, Dragon, I will say this: out of the 3 Royal Flush Gang episodes, this is probably my favorite of the 3. But that's not really saying a whole lot.
Really, this is your favorite of the 3?
I don't know. I do think that there is some good elements here.
I agree. Here's the thing. So Lazenby delivered in all of these episodes, man. The Royal Flush King, he really did bring it, and I would attest that this is probably the best George Lazenby performance stuff that we get, because we really have him on his heels and everything. And I always do love the last scene with him, even if it is like a little ham-fisted. I do love him. Just Just
I mean, that's what I'm saying. I think that's really what I'm latching onto, because really, I think that Lazenby for me is like the only thing that I'm really attached to with the Royal Flush Gang, and this is definitely the most that Lazenby gets to kind of play around with the character.
Which, by the way, fun fact, and I mentioned this too on Batman Beyond Return of the Joker, but not directly connected to this point. Paul Dini and Bruce Timm, you're probably wondering why George Lazenby. Well, their favorite Bond movie is on Her Majesty's Secret Service.
Yeah, I feel like that comes up, every so often on people's rankings. People will have it up really high. It's kind of a polarizing Bond movie like that. Anyways, just to shout out a couple comments here. Kogias is saying, I think that if they had brought Blight back, they could have had Blight and Paxton compete for the role of Big Bad. I think that would have been really cool, honestly. Like they could have done a Green Goblin thing with that. Yeah. Little Blue says, I was here a couple minutes ago. Don't worry, Tiki, your mic is fine. That's good to know, Little Blue. Thank you for that, and welcome. Glad to have you here. Kokia says they should have had Paxton as the dark parallel to Terry, like how Blight was the dark parallel to Bruce. That's what I'm saying. I'm kind of bummed that Paxton isn't really like. I kind of feel like the one thing that I would add to this show, the one element, and honestly, Dragon, one of the reasons why I'd really love a, if we're not going to get that movie, at least do a 10-episode like reboot season or something. Because I really think that this show's premise would fit well with a season-long arc that they would write. And something like that, something like what you're pitching here, Kogias, is something that I could see them really excelling in. All right. Yeah, the Batman is moved back to 2026. Did you see that, Dragon?
Sadly, I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on. What's next?
Well, I want to mention this too. So another recasting was for Paxton Powers himself. So unfortunately, Cary Elwes did not return. I always loved Cary Elwes in his first Paxton really has like 2 episodes where it really says.
Cary Elwes, I feel like, is one of those voice actors where he's just delightful every time he pops up in anything.
Yeah, here it was someone else. I think it was Parker Stevenson. He did the voice of him here, and it's still Cary Elwes.
Right.
There's no as you wish in this at all. Anyway, okay, let's see. So again,
honestly, one of my big nitpicks with this episode, beyond just the marriage stuff being kind of repetitive, Dragon, look, I know that usually I'm a big fan of the puns. Batman and Robin with the ice puns, the beekeeper with the bee puns. I think that's fun, but my God, I think there is kind of like a little bit of total inconsistency with this episode when it comes to just really laying it on thick with the playing card puns. And what really bothers me about it is that it's not just the Royal Flush Gang that's doing it. It's like Barbara's doing it, and I realize Barbara's doing it in kind of like a sarcastic way, but I don't know. It just feels like, because this episode does have kind of a serious tone to it, where on some level, the episode is examining like the ramifications of being in a crime family and how you can try and move on from your life, but the shadow of your family and the shadow of others above you will never really go away. That would have been the cool way to do this episode, but really it just kind of like boils down to just a lot of kind of running around in circles. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's just the Royal Flush Gang's kind of ripe for card puns, and they've always kind of done that. But you're not wrong. It's kind of a more serious, like it's a little more dramatic. So maybe there's a bit of a clash there. But still, I mean, it's like they're basically a casino with giant playing cards hanging from the rafters. Though, I mean, come on. It's like there's one thing. I think there's only so much you can. I mean, they used it's the fact that we've legitimized them this much. I think
that's the thing, is that I don't really feel like we've legitimized them all that much at this point. That's the thing.
I don't know. I'm just saying, look, the Royal Flush Gang, it's a great visual,
Like
but
being
not.
invested in the king and the queen's marital drama is like it's scratching at the door, but it's not quite there, Dragon.
What I'm getting at is that the Royal Flush Gang, it's a concept that again aesthetically looks great, but because of that aesthetic, there's not a lot of room for subtlety.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a really good way to put it, actually.
Yeah. Anyway, so here's the thing, but I do like, again, I don't think I like how we tee this up, but I really don't. It's always been a shame that we never really got into this with like the lineage or the history of the Royal Flushing. That was always the cool thing. Where in the first episode of the Royal Flushing, King has a history with Bruce Wayne's Batman that we never saw. We kind of hinted that the Royal Flush Gang's been around for a few decades through Gotham's history, and Bruce had run-ins with them,
Yeah,
and
you see, if they would have
potentially.
made it like a kind of like a pseudo court of owls, like not
Mhm.
quite as densely layered as the court of owls, but kind of like in
No,
that
but a
same sort of vein.
generational, like a generational gang, like that.
Yeah,
That's
yeah, yeah. That would have worked. But the thing is, they just my problem with the Royal Flesh Gang has always been like there seems to be a lot of lore to them that isn't really all that clearly laid out, when in reality they're just kind of like bank robbers, more or less. Like, not
Mhm.
banks, but they're heist people. Like
Yeah.
it's not like I feel like if they would have had that generational like secret society sort of thing built into them, it would have been a lot more interesting.
See, here's the missed opportunity to me, and I think the pieces are absolutely there, but we just never gave it enough time. Is that it always seemed to me that, again, King double crossed his father in law when he was brought into the organization and through marriage, probably a proper like marriage thing. Like here, sounds like the father, the way though she always glows about this would never happen to my father. Sounds like he was very much the upper class criminal who probably started the whole enterprise, right?
Right, right.
And then King marries into it, and in marrying into it, eventually he double crosses or bumps the guy off. Or I think he just sent him to double cross and send him to jail. That's what I think happened. I don't know. The fact is, I like the idea that King has him. We kind of see it slip here when he's on his heels, like he's like telling her like shut up and everything. He's like got a little bit of a. Again, there's a street guy there. The idea of a street guy trying to be the upper class, and that's why he strives.
Yeah, I
That's why
mean
he's clean
there's
life.
like little nuggets of interesting character
Mhm.
development. It just doesn't really come
Yeah,
together all that well.
and that's the shame of it for me. We have the perfect guy to do that with, but we're not giving him enough.
Right, right.
Anyway, let's see. So the point being, things aren't going well. He's getting the old father comparison there, and he's the Queen's looking for like one reason, like it's a run of bad luck is all. Ten's gone, Jack's in jail, and we can barely repair Ace. Look at him over there trying to repair that arm. Look at that. That's a sad robot.
Oh
King,
my
look at
god.
that.
It's not the J.J. Abrams logo. It's not the bad robot dragon. It's the sad robot.
Yeah, it's late stage, J.J. Abrams.
Yes,
The Rise of Skywalker. J.J. Abrams, look at him.
yes.
He's a sad robot. Those are sad R2D2 sounds.
Sad robot.
Boop, 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 boop.
Dragon, I saw that logo after the end of each and every episode of Lost for 6 seasons.
That's just a robot doing it's doing like the Miyazaki thing where he's like tussling his hair in frustration. He's a robot just tussling his head in frustration. Anyway, so just give me one good reason to stay. And he says like because I need you and I have an idea it's going to put us back on top. Surefire plan.
Mhm.
Okay, so that plan involves we see Miss Thorpe massaging Paxton by the pool. He's got a real thing for hitting on ladies by the pool.
I'm not a fan of this dynamic. I'm just going to say it. I don't really know what they're supposed to be getting at here. Like, is Miss Thorpe supposed to be like a power fantasy? Or is she supposed to be just like the ultimate like sexual fantasy for him? Like, I
Ah,
don't really get what they're trying to get at. Like, Is she girl boss or is she not girl boss, Dragon? I can't tell what the message is here.
Well, I mean, I think, just taking it face value, I think it's just like she's kind of like a do it all. She does it all, kind of a gag there. Where she's the bodyguard and I guess kind of valet.
Yeah, because I'm saying like she's bending at Paxton's every whim, and yet she still also kicks ass. Like I am confused on the messaging.
Well, we did set up that she is. It's a question. She ultimately betrays Paxton. Now, there's always a question of when she intended to betray Paxton. Now, I think it's after this encounter is when King goes to her, and then they hatch the plan. Is what I think happens. Like the moment they learn about Paxton's like hidden vault is when they team up. That's the way the episode suggests that it goes down. So I can't say but it does make you wonder though if she's willing to do that though. Maybe she has like a long con plan of like at some point I'm going to betray this guy, so that's why I'm giving into his every whim.
Sure.
Maybe. I don't know. Anyway, so she's massaging Paxton, and then there's an ambush. They kidnap. He is kidnapped by the Royal Flush Gang. Meanwhile, going to Deckard's kitchen, which you guessed it, is indeed a Blade Runner reference. They love Blade Runner and Batman Beyond.
Honestly, Harrison Ford wouldn't be a bad choice for an old Bruce Wayne.
Well, yeah, but now he's all wrapped up in other stuff.
Yeah, I know. At least he's still working.
Yeah, he's still working. I just think this Red Hulk thing, man, I don't know how it's gonna go.
We'll see how it goes. I don't know. I'm cautiously optimistic about it. We'll see.
I mean, I'm looking forward to it, but it's the fact he's not gonna have the mustache.
I mean, look, Dragon. At the end of the day, I'm just glad that we're getting any sort of Hulk stuff at all in the MCU, right? That's not She-Hulk. All due respect to She-Hulk.
Yeah.
All right. Anyways.
Okay, so. Let's see. So we're in Deckard's kitchen. Melanie Walker, she is working an honest job as a waitress who makes salads.
Yes.
Apparently, she's good at it too.
Delicious salads.
She's good at making the salads, but not good at carrying the salads. It would appear. Yes. So she is the word she sees on the news, like the word the Royal Flush Gang is kidnapped. Paxton Powers. She drops the bowl of breaks. Goes on her break, and she has a little conversation with Batman. And again, there's some stuff there where again, Batman, he's worked with.
My whole thing with this episode, it continues on to the scene where I feel like there is good stuff here, but she just doesn't get enough. And this is kind of my problem with the entirety of the Royal Flush Gang, honestly, is that because they're balancing so many characters. Look, I feel like her and King are by far the most interesting of the Royal Flush Gang, right?
Yep. Oh yeah.
And I feel like if maybe the episode kind of like had a dual protagonist perspective of her and King, like she needs to be in more scenes in this episode for it to actually be impactful, Dragon. I like the one or two scenes she does have. But I just feel like we should have really followed her a little bit more. She should have been a little bit more actively involved.
Well, I think what it is, Tiki, is that honestly we sort of did everything we needed to with Melanie in the previous two episodes, and here it was just this thing of like this is kind of the closure on her, but we doubled down on it. That's the thing where they wanted a happy ending, and we kind of like hey we dig her back up or can put her for the happy ending. Which that feels like it's like. We had like a bit of like kind of like a cold recognition of she and Batman know where they stand, and there was like that moment of hope where it says, "Did you give that note to Terry?" Which is where we end the last episode, where basically Terry got the note from her, but he didn't read. He just threw it away and chose Dana. That's where it it's still like the sad thing. He didn't read the note. He just tossed it. So that's kind of like that's basically it's where they stand, and it's just kind of like a bittersweet sort of like thing of like he's kind of unlike Bruce Wayne, he's not keeping the Catwoman in his life, so to speak. Terry's kind of brushed his hands clean of her.
Sure.
Is kind of the point. So that scene isolated on its own, not bad. Just shows you, okay, we're not gonna bring her in. But you're right, though. We do sacrifice the other interesting half.
I feel like we could have had an episode that was centered around her and trying to get away the sins of the father angle. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But we just don't really explore it at all.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. So we're back at the casino. Plan is to ransom Paxton for 20 million credits. But he says he doesn't have it because everything's tied up in investments. Man, Paxton, you really suck as a businessman. You know that.
He really does, legitimately.
Yeah. So he says, I live on company perks. And just Queen's like, oh, God, I can't believe this. So they're going with Plan B. You know what Plan
Here's
B
the thing
is?
about the episode is that I do feel like some of the domestic marriage quabbling stuff is legitimately kind of entertaining in like a sitcom-y kind of way,
Mm-hmm.
but it's impossible to take seriously.
Hmm.
For me at least. Like there's no level of threat or intimidation or stakes to any of this shit.
I do think what happens next is pretty priceless, though.
Okay.
So we go with Plan B, and Plan B, you guessed it, is Plan Bruce Wayne. So Bruce Wayne, this is a bit of a very subtle kind of I don't know, it's a little reminder kind of thing here. Bruce Wayne drinking tea, it's every time that man drinks tea, you know who he's thinking of. And Bruce has to make his own tea now.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
It's a little bittersweet, I'm sure, it's like he's making
I'm
tea.
sorry,
Like,
Dragon. At first I thought you I'm so dumb. But my mind, when you said you know who he's thinking of, at first I thought you were like, he's thinking of his good friend Howard Hamlin.
no, Tiki, that would be us
That's
drinking
literally
tea.
the first place my mind went.
See, I'm going
you're
for
over here making like a genuinely poignant point about Alfred.
yeah, and you're
God.
you're imagining a Hamlindigo cup right now.
Yes.
Bittersweet for other reasons, but not that reason. No.
All right, Bruce, I have to go. See you next Sunday for our weekly tea time.
It never happened again. Because he had just had to stop by Jimmy and Kim's.
Oh,
just had to get the last word, didn't you, Howard? You know what movie you're watching now, Howard? You're watching Howard's End.
Oh no! Oh God!
So anyway, so Bruce Wayne's drinking tea. Probably a little somber recollection going on while he's drinking that tea. Anyway, so gets a ransom call from the Royal Flush Gang. Terry's like saying, "Aren't you? Where's his patience?" And they get the ransom call, and this is
not over yet.
Yeah, but still, he's just called like, "Hey, you can get him back for just a measly 20 million credits." Says Bruce Wayne, "No deal." Perhaps you didn't understand me. I mean, I'm going to do bad stuff too.
God damn it, banker! You tell Howie Mandel we don't have a deal.
But there's this Bruce Wayne very coldly say, "Oh, I understand perfectly," but it goes against company policy to pay terrorists or kidnappers. Ask Paxton. He wrote the policy. It's like, yes.
Yeah. I love that is a nice little Batman workaround of like, well, you made your bed, you gotta lie in it.
But again, we established right after the phone call. Like Terry has this hilarious bit where it's Bruce?
Are you pro killing people suddenly?
It's like, relax.
Like, I understand this is technically under the the whole I'm not God damn, how does it go, Dragon? Like, I'm not gonna kill you, but I don't have to save you, clause.
There you go. Now you got it. All right. But yeah, so this the like relax. It's not, or he knows they're gonna call back. So but he's having fun. He's having a little fun with it though. Just the idea of like, I don't like Paxton Powers. I hate his father. He took my company from me. He did terrible. He orphaned my poor protege here. Is just like, I don't like this guy. I don't like his family. And you know what? If he goes the way of the dodo, worst case, it works out for me. So you know what? We'll see how it plays out.
Right.
It's not my fault. He got himself kidnapped. He did deals with this guy.
Exactly.
Anyway, I'm an old man. What do they expect me to do? Anyway, so fed up. So this is what I'm talking about, like the comedy here. It's like you seeing King on like the phone, just like dealing with the situation. Like, well, that's not go at all how I expected. And Queen's like, you see, so fed up, King get into an argument with his wife is like a punctuation of the argument. He's about to behead Paxton Powers. Like, a bluff. I'll show you a bluff. And then Paxton cracks. So I got the crown of Tikal. Crown at the call. It's at home. It's like, I'll call Miss Thorpe. Now, here's the thing.
Golden jewels! Golden jewels, Dragon! I'm sorry. For some reason, the delivery of that particular line just made me crack up.
Now,
I've got golden jewels!
I know you're not going to care about this at all. I'm just going to give it a shot anyway.
All right.
Okay, so here, so Paxton says, hey, you send Miss Thorpe. And now King thinks that's a very good idea. Now, that does make me wonder. Were they in? Again, he was doing a deal with them for
I do. I see what you're throwing down, and I do kind of care about it. That is an interesting theory.
It makes you wonder, because again, even when she's kicking his butt earlier on, we don't know how in advance he's been in contact with her. He knows that he has an art collection somewhere, and she probably knows it too. Now, at which point these two commiserate, whether it's before the whole episode or after that initial meeting or after this scene, that's the pinpoint to make there. But the fact is, King is very on board. Yeah, Miss Thorpe will send her to get it, because if she gets it, they'll run away together already. Queen says, no, we need a neutral party, which brings back Bruce Wayne. We're calling Bruce on the phone. Wayne here, All right. So Terry and Bruce, they enter Paxton's place. They find the illegal art collection, and Bruce Wayne, he knew his collection was here, but he never knew where.
It's kind of trippy to see Bruce Wayne do a technical, it's technically a heist, right?
It's not a heist. It's a hostage exchange.
Yeah, I know, but it's like they're technically breaking in to get it.
No, he's allowed inside the house. They gave him codes.
All right, fair enough.
I mean, there's a security system, but I'm going to guess they gave him the codes for that too.
Well, I still think it's cool that Bruce Wayne's kind of involved in a little bit of a nefarious hostage situation. Then.
No, you're right. Just not a heist, but yeah.
Fair enough.
The caper, I'll give you a caper. He's a,
All right, caper, we'll take it. I'll totally
compromise
take caper. I will totally take caper.
I'll upgrade you to caper, no extra charge.
All right, deal. It's a deal, Dragon.
We're going to call the banker?
All right.
Okay. Anyway, so Terry's asking, you sure you want to, you want to ransom this creeps? It's like, it's my move. I'm just sweetening the pot.
Uh-huh.
I don't know. It might be a great Conroy bit. I don't know. It's a pretty good line.
There's not many, so I'll take that if you want to make it the great Conroy.
I mean, we'll see. I mean, the other ones might land a little bit more, but that one right now I think is the main contender. And the point being, again, him saying it's my move, I'm sweetening the pot, because Bruce knows I can oust Paxton now because of what I just learned. I've seen where his art collection is. He's done for. I get my
exactly right.
He's very psyched about this. Paxton,
I do like that Paxton is a formidable foe in this moment where he picks on right away that's what's going on.
Mm-hmm. So Paxton, he's not happy. He explains that, Bruce Wayne's going to go to the DA. I'm going to go to jail. I'm not happy about that at all. So this leads to the proposal. Kill Bruce Wayne. I get sole ownership of the company. I'll be in a generous mood, and there'll be no witnesses. Works out for everyone except Bruce Wayne.
Uh-huh.
Now, in hindsight, Paxton probably should realize he's going to have to kill Terry McGinnis, too, but he's not that smart.
No.
Anyway, so Bruce Wayne has Batman watching the exchange, and Bruce is in hostage exchange mode because he's wearing an overcoat.
Yeah, that is kind of like a cool little Matches Malone throwback.
You'll actually notice every time Bruce is kind of in the field, he's wearing overcoats. Think about it. 3 times.
Right, yeah.
This, in the big
old habits die hard, Dragon.
Yeah. Like the whole, the second Ink appearance. He's wearing that where he has the exosuit underneath. The sneak peek episode, he's wearing the overcoat. Now this.
Sure.
Okay, anyway, so, of course, the whole reason he's wearing an overcoat is just for that fountain fig. That's the only reason he's wearing that coat, in case you're wondering. Aside from that, it looks cool. All right, so he tells Batman to wait for the signal. All right, the white of their eyes, which I think is like a Patton quote.
Sure, let's go with that.
Don't brush that off. That is a bad
That went
one.
over my head. I don't really, I don't know.
Like the white of their eyes. Shoot at the
I
white of
believe
their
you.
eyes.
I believe you. I've just never seen Patton, so I don't really know for sure, but I believe you. I'll take
Anyway,
your word for
Ace, not the dog, Ace sneaks up on Batman.
it.
We got to make that distinction this episode. We won't have to do it anymore. It's this one. We got to make that distinction. So Ace sneaks up on Batman. Batman does this really cool thing where he rockets Ace into the wall, which has always been a really cool move when he's fighting this robot.
Oh,
Then he grabs Batman's head, some good action, throws him down the other floor, and then throws an air conditioning unit. So Batman's knocked out yet again. Poor Terry. Hashtag Terry wounds.
Terry wounds. Oh,
Terry
God.
wounds.
Oh God.
He gets hurt a lot in this show, Tiki. I think we should.
No, you're right. You're right. You're absolutely right about that. He does.
This poor kid, Tiki. This poor kid. We just keep throwing heavy objects at him. It's not sporting. Okay, so Queen, she's not thrilled about this whole common hired killers thing. Bruce Wayne tosses the crown, really cool, and now bring him down. Kind of Great Conroy-ish. I don't know.
All right.
No, it's kind of tough.
We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll evaluate at the end. We'll save all rankings for the end. Anyway, so okay, our business is done. So then we have the double cross here, where now they're firing at Bruce Wayne. He's like telling Terry, "Move in now." It's not a McGinnis, but still, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But Terry's down for the count. Bruce is in trouble. They hit Bruce. They hit him into the fountain, and then we have the awesome surprise thing where it's like, we see that coat. That's why we had that coat there, Tiki. A little fake out in the fountain.
Oh yeah.
But then Bruce Wayne, bad entrance, whacks him with little stuff. He whacks him with the cane. Then he hobbles
Dragon
to the
again.
car.
I love how Bruce Wayne comes in with the cane combat throughout the show.
We have some great cane combat in this episode. That's the thing. So he gets hit by Queen. Checkmate, Mr. Wayne, says King, and then we have the money. We have this great money shot of Bruce Wayne reflected in the sword, about to be a goner, it would seem. But then we have this wonderful bit where Bruce Wayne just snaps his fingers. And Ace the dog.
They have to bring in Ace Dragon. If there was any episode to bring in Ace, it's got to be this one, right?
Ace the Bad Hound attacks King, and he does not let up until King runs away.
No, it is a pretty satisfying and cathartic defeat, I will say.
Look at that dog attack that Bond, man. So Queen, I don't know, the way I read this is that Queen's about to blast either Bruce Wayne, or I think it's more satisfying if she's about to hit the dog, because later on she's aiming for the dog to get him off King. So I think she's still aiming for that dog. She's aiming for Ace, and that's when Bruce throws the cane like a batarang right at her, like bam.
I know, right?
That's awesome. All right, so Batman finally comes to. Forgot the name of the show for a second there. Batman comes to. He knocks the robot, Ace, not the dog, knocks the robot into the Royal Flush.
I love all these clarifications we have to make.
No, but here's why, okay?
Like a fucking flow chart.
So Batman knocks Ace, the robot, into the Royal Flush Gang to save Ace the dog.
Yes, thank you. That's very valuable clarification, Dragon, because I thought that he was going to save Ace the robot.
Well, I know sometimes you have trouble, especially when we talk about Dick Grayson, aka...
Okay.
Okay, the one with the mullet, Tiki. That's DJ. Okay, not the short one who's been traumatized for life. The tall one.
Oh my god.
Anyway, so Ace the robot, he short circuits in the fountain because a little tear on his arm. All the battle damage. Now this seriously is a great bit that I wish we would have milked for the whole third act, honestly, but we didn't. I love the tension of Bruce Wayne has been very active in this climax. And his heart's giving him trouble. He got overexcited in all the action. He's kind of rushing to get to his heart medication in his pocket there. Some good tension. You see him sweating, like it really took it out of him. His wish, like that could have been a really good centerpiece for Act 3.
It could have been. You're right.
Wasn't, but it could have been. All right, so Batman cuffs Queen mid-battle. King gets away with the crown, but he's holding on for dear life, that dog, until gravity forces him off the man. Like, the man is flying away. Otherwise, the dog still would have been lashed on to this criminal. Anyways, yeah, so King decided to cut his losses. Queen, he's in utter disbelief, and Bruce has like, what kept you? Just they had an ace in the hole. So did we. So did I.
I think
Luckily,
that's a
so did
good
I.
convoy.
I would concur. I think luckily, so did I.
Yeah, I feel like that's got to be it. And again, it's kind of funny because I feel like Bruce is kind of all over the episode, but not really in dialogue, more so in the action stuff.
Yeah.
So we're a little bit light on Great Conroy stuff, but I think that'll do it. I feel like that's kind of like a light Great Conroy, but a Great Conroy nonetheless.
Yeah.
Okay.
We have a comment from Kogias anime fan.
All right, you want to read it?
Well, which part do you want?
I'll be Terry.
All right.
Oh shoot, hold on. All right, I defeated Ace.
You hurt my dog?
No, I'm talking about the Royal Flush Gang robot.
My dog's a robotic member of the Royal Flush Gang?
All right, let's do one more. Let's see. You almost had a heart attack, old man. You should let Batman do the fighting from now on.
You aren't Batman. You never will be.
All right. Well, I disagree on that statement.
I also disagree on that statement.
I digress.
I regret this exercise now. So anyway, oh yeah, Paxton's dangling upside down. We batarang him, so he falls. He could have given me a concussion, maybe. Yeah, he doesn't. No one likes that guy. Queen saw him through the cuffs with the the playing card. Back at the casino, we reveal King is in cahoots, and who knows what else, with Miss Thorpe.
What a twist!
Yeah, so
I kind of saw it coming, honestly.
Did you though?
A little bit.
Really?
Bit. Yeah, a little bit. It's just, my whole thing about it is that I kind of knew that there was something more nefarious to her than just being Paxton's assistant.
Okay. All right. So basically, now they have all of Powers' art collection. He has no recourse because it's all illegally obtained, so they can just get away scot free. But King overplayed his hand, one could say. Okay, got it. So Queen attacks, calls him a lying philanderer, which he is. And basically, the lying philanderer who destroyed their family, which is true. He did destroy their family at every turn, really. He did. And Thorpe, she flees. Batman catches her. Meanwhile, it's little Batman versus King. Queen gets knocked out, and then we have again Tiki out of context. This is a great idea for a Batman Royal, King from basically the Royal Flush Gang idea. Like, do you have any idea what it's like to live in someone's shadow? Like the idea on paper that King feels.
Dragon, it comes out of nowhere, though. It's literally just lip service to a really good theme. That's the problem.
It just bothers me. In the first Royal Flush Gang episode, we actually mentioned the lineage. This line would have really worked there, and also you could get a whole episode out of the legacy.
And also, I feel like that would have worked better as the final line of the episode, and it's just kind of towards the end.
Yeah. So we have the happy-go-lucky epilogue after this. I don't know. It just feels
which I'm not crazy about, for the record.
I know. It's just the fact that this exchange is really good, and Lazenby's doing a great job with the delivery here. But it's just this is in the wrong episode.
I hear you.
Okay, this whole thing. Do you have because again, Bruce is on really good terms with Bruce right now. If he were on the outs with Bruce, this would be a perfect it's like to live in someone's shadow. Actually, I kind of do.
Yeah, no, for real, yeah.
Again, good payoff line. Not for this episode, but good payoff. Again, Rich Fogel, why do you confound me? You're a good writer. Why are you giving me nuggets but no meal? Where's my toy?
Oh man. All right.
Anyway. Okay, so Meanwhile, we're at the police station. We're at the GCPD. Melanie, she bails her brother out, gives him a second chance, and then, I mean, it's okay. It's nice. I don't know.
It's nice. I just don't really care.
Well, yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. Just the fact, like, okay, this is good. She's being nice to her brother. I washed dish. I was the finest dishwasher in Juvie. I can do this. Then Paxton, he's making a hissy, but this is kind of funny though. Like Paxton, like saying, "Bruce Wayne was like a father to me. You think I'd have him killed?" It's like, no, your father glows in the dark.
Yeah.
He doesn't. Bruce Wayne doesn't glow in the dark. It's like, hey, it's slander. I'll sue you. Where's my lawyer? And then we have like the dumb sunrise, but like I don't want to see. Look, I understand the Batman Beyond
it's
world.
dumb. It is very dumb. I agree. It's a weird way to end the episode.
I know occasionally, especially in Batman Beyond, we've been able to get away with like a Batman in daylight, and we can maybe do a happy go up. But this just feels really tacked on. Like, okay, we don't need Batman in the scene at all.
It literally feels like just like an extra shot that they just threw in that was cut from another episode.
It's like we didn't fill the Batman quota. Throw him in just one more shot. Just put him in there.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, so that's the episode.
All right, well, I gotta say, Dragon, I mean, this isn't like, it's not terrible, it's not god-awful, but it's close to the bottom as far as, like, my rankings go. The stuff with King in the episode, the Lazenby stuff, it is Lazenby's best of the three Royal Flush Gang episodes. So because of that, because Lazenby is like the big kind of like shining star of these episodes, I think it kind of by default is the best of the three. But that's not really saying a whole lot. I don't know, man. It's kind of a rocky start to season 3. I'm hoping for the best with season 3, but we'll see what we get.
It's an inauspicious start.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, that's it. Look, it's I've the thing I've always liked about this episode has been kind of surface level. I won't lie to you. Just I think with the digital cleanup look, this episode always did look the best out of the three. And I do like the whole hostage angle of it all, and like the Royal Flush Gang on their heels, and Lazenby's doing a great job. But when looking back on with a fine tooth comb, aside from like the whole thing, like, oh, so that's how Bruce Wayne gets his company back. Aside from that aspect of the episode, it's just it did not hold up nearly as well as I recalled. So that was a little disconcerting on the rewatch. I won't lie to you. I mean, I don't know. Here's the thing. Of the three, I don't know if this is better than Once Burned. I mean, Once Burned had like the controversial like kiss in there, so that one's probably
right, yeah.
So it's kind of hard for me. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, I'm probably putting the first episode, Dead Man's Hand, and then this, and then Once Burned. That's probably how I'd rank them. But I don't know.
Fair enough. All right, well, big thanks to Kogias and Little Blue for joining us tonight, and thank you guys for putting up with our technical difficulties and our delays as we got those sorted out. Dragon, what's up next on the docket?
Alan Burnett's childhood? A truly repellent and repulsive foe? An affair with a bubble girl? Can Batman stop this indestructible enemy? Does the villain have a name? Tune in next time to find out. Same animated bat time, same animated bat place.
On the next visit to Batcave Beyond with Untouchable. Golden jewels! Golden jewels!
Deal me in.